Welcome, welcome, welcome to Opening Day 2018. I'm so incredibly happy to see all of you this morning. I hope you all really enjoyed what I've lived here 20 years. I think it's the hottest summer yet. As I was preparing for this morning, I tried to remember the earliest first day of school I can remember. Not as an educator, not as a professor, not as an administrator, but as a student. And the earliest day I can remember is my first day of kindergarten. So here are the salient details. Mrs. Jensen was my teacher. The kindergarten room was at the end of a very long hallway that ran to second grade. Mr. Harper was our principal, Mrs. Apple was our secretary, and Mr. Bledsoe was our custodian. Every single one of them was kind to me, a basically terrified 6-year-old girl. The Sloan twins, Linda and Brenda, however, were not so kind. I had lime green rainboats that my mom had imagined were a good purchase. The Sloan twins felt otherwise and teased me mercilessly from the time I got on the school bus at the beginning of the day until I got back off at the end of the day. So for the record, I know 2 meaningful things about the Sloan twins. They got kinder as they got older, and they became some of our school's finest athletes. So when I think about my earliest memory of my first day of school, I naturally wonder about how our students will feel when they have their first day of school here with us. And here's why I share my story. Because every day I get to come to CCRI, where I know our students will be surrounded by faculty and by staff who care just as much about them as Mrs. Jensen, Mr. Harper, Mrs. Apple, and Mr. Bledsoe cared about me. And while of course there are big differences between starting kindergarten and starting college, one thing is the same. The early days can be daunting for our students. And so as I look out at all of you, I am reminded of how fortunate we are as a college to have such talent and such commitment supporting our students. I am so pleased to see so many familiar faces back with us, and I thank you all for your continued service to CCRI. Welcome back. And to the newest members of our community, some of whom I've already met this summer and this morning, welcome. You have joined a college that works tirelessly in support of our students and to help them succeed. I look forward to meeting you and to celebrating the impact you will make here at the college. In your Welcome Back programs, please take a look at the list of the newest members of our community. Please seek them out, welcome them, and offer your guidance. So today I am pleased that Dr. Leanne Nutt, president of Lone Star College Tumble, has joined us to talk about how grit has changed her college. She is here to share how the teachings of grit, short for growth mindset, resiliency, instinct, and tenacity, have benefited Lone Star. Welcome, Dr. Nutt. So I have to just tell you, I asked Deb, Dr. Nutt agreed to fly in from Texas. I know that Leanne was incredibly excited about a New England August. She imagined she was going to be wearing adorable cotton sweaters, and she left Houston to arrive at a place that was even more humid than Houston. I asked Deb where we should take her for dinner. Deb made the brilliant choice of legal seafoods. Leanne sat down at the table and essentially said, so what do you order when you come to Rhode Island? So you can guess what she had. She had a cup of clam chowder, and she had a lobster roll. I think it went over well. I hope you will come back for another one. Welcome. When we talk about grit, we talk about these qualities and our students here all of the time at CCRI. As many of you know, I discuss Carol Dweck, the Stanford psychologist who invented the concept of growth mindset, in my commencement remarks last spring. And there I focused on how our students epitomize the capacity to grow, the ability to persevere, and the strength to be resilient. When I think of our students, I believe many of them invented grit. And I know we will be inspired to learn from Dr. Nutt how this framework of understanding can be an even more powerful tool here at CCRI. Today we are here to gather together as a community of faculty and staff as people who care deeply about this college. And so I'm struck by how each one of us has needed to draw upon these qualities of grit in our own lives, in our professional lives, and in our personal lives. Because we are a close community, we know that since the last time we gathered together, some of us have faced daunting challenges, including some that are scary, because they involve health in our families, and others that simply require us to grow in a way we hadn't anticipated. And what I want to share with all of you is that the same is true for me. As I've grown older, I assume responsibility, not just for my own 3 children, but also for an aging mother. And with this shift, I've needed to draw even more intentionally upon my own resiliency and perseverance. Here at the college, we of course face very real challenges: funding challenges, enrollment challenges, performance challenges. And I bring those same qualities of grit, of growth mindset, resiliency, instinct, and tenacity to work with me every day, as I know so many of you also do. This summer, I led a review conversation with someone with whom I work closely, and she told me that she had gained so much from this concept of growth mindset, that she felt she had been raised and largely educated with the assumption that she was born with a certain set of gifts and aptitudes, and that there was no growing beyond those, beyond that closed, fixed set. She told me that after decades of working, and working successfully, she has challenged herself to reject that old set of teachings and adopt new ones for herself. She is committed to putting the concept of growth mindset at the core of her new approach, and to truly believing she can continue to grow and to learn, and can get pleasure and satisfaction from that growth. I'm so proud of this woman, of her ability to be self-reflective and to apply the same kindness and optimism she shows to our students, to herself. I ask that you all do the same for yourselves and for your CCRI colleagues, and that as you listen to Dr. Nutt this morning, you consider how her ideas apply not just to our students, but to each other. So this morning, I want to talk to you about what we've accomplished together since last September, where we are headed together this year, and what I am asking of everyone in this room. And I'd like to begin where we last gathered as a group. And that, of course, was our very first commencement at the Dunk. Dr. Nutt, I'll tell you what that is at lunch. As you know, we marked our highest 3-year graduation rate in nearly 20 years. At 18%, we still have a ways to go until we meet and then exceed the national average of 22%. But I am so proud of our progress. And I am confident that we will see that number continue to climb as we move new initiatives forward and keep our laser focus on student success. Moving to the Dunk allowed our graduates to invite all of their guests so that everyone could come together to celebrate. I know it took a lot of work from our commencement committee to make this shift. And on behalf of our graduates who were so delighted to be there, I thank you. Next spring, we'll return to the Dunk to celebrate our 2019 graduates. So let's take a moment to remember last August. This time last year, we were preparing to welcome our very first cohort of Rhode Island Promise students to our college. The General Assembly approved the program just 4 weeks before the start of the semester, and with no additional marketing dollars. And so how did we do? We grew our first-time full-time right out of high school enrollment by 43%. So what does this enrollment increase mean, and why does it matter? It matters first because the Promise program made college a reality for many Rhode Islanders who did not know that a college education was within their reach. In fact, we saw a greater percentage enrollment growth with our Pell students than with our non-Pell students. This across-the-board growth both advances our mission to educate all Rhode Islanders who want to be our students, and these new students, they are crucial to the financial vitality of this college. So it matters also because the legislation was signed. Before the legislation was signed, we were facing a serious reduction in enrollment that required us to identify several $million in savings. These reductions would have required us to offer fewer courses and to make fewer investments in our programs and in our systems. Instead, 1,577 new Promise students brought $6.5 million in new revenue, $3 million additional dollars in Rhode Island funding, and $3.5 million in additional federal funding. What's really important to know is that this revenue is applied across the college to benefit all of our students. This revenue has allowed us to invest in more tutoring, more advising, and an unprecedentedly robust summer session. Now, more than 60% of these Cohort 1 Promise students are registered for classes this fall. We are excited to share more data about this first Promise cohort later this fall, once fall enrollment data and year 1 performance data are available. And what about Cohort 2 arriving next week? We anticipate 2,000 new first-time full-time students will arrive for their first year of college, a 25% increase over last year's inaugural class. What we know now is that we expect to see meaningful 2- and 3-year graduation rate increases. When we look out to 2020 and our first Promise class that will be graduated in 3 years, I believe we will hit the 30% graduation mark, achieving what is likely to be the highest graduation rate for any community college in New England. That's a critical benchmark. For us, and we will continue to build on this momentum. I want to thank all of you for helping us achieve it. So what does our promise mean right now for our students? It means they will have a set of skills, a body of knowledge, and a degree that will allow them to transfer to a 4-year school and continue their career. And should an adult Promise program move forward, I am excited to envision how the Promise program could be expanded to serve many more students at CCRI, including our part-time adult students. So let's move now to our strategic plan. Last spring, we launched our plan, and I want to thank all of you for your input and feedback. As you know, we identified 3 goals. First, enhance student success and completion. Second, expand partnerships and programs. And third, strengthen institutional effectiveness. Our strategic plan will guide our decision-making throughout the college, informing how we align our programs, staff our departments and divisions, and build our budgets. In order to achieve our first goal of supporting student success and completion, we know that we must continue to aggressively address developmental education. I am grateful for the work around DevEd that has already been accomplished through the strong collaboration between academic affairs and student services. With nearly 2/3 of our students arriving at our college requiring developmental education, your dedication to addressing this barrier is critical to improving student outcomes. Last spring, CCRI launched a partnership with the Central Falls School District. 2 CCRI math faculty members worked with Central Falls to develop ALEX. That's a new online learning program that prepares students to start college ready for credit-bearing math courses. Partnerships like the one we have built with Central Falls are critically important. And Vice President Costigan is working with the Office of the Post-Secondary Commissioner and the Rhode Island Department of Education to bring this type of model to scale. And so what have we done inside the college to tackle DevEd? We've made 3 key interventions: multi-measures, ALP, and new math curricula. First, multi-measures. We know that new community college students across the country face challenges with high-stakes testing, like our AccuPlacer. So we responded by creating alternatives for effectively placing our students into our Gateway Math and English courses. It's a nationally celebrated mechanism for supporting students more effectively and referred to in shorthand as multi-measures. Simply put, it means using things like high school GPA and transcript and standardized tests like the ACT to guide and inform student placement. Launched just 2 years ago, Multi-Measures has resulted in more than 1,500 of our students being placed in college-level courses rather than developmental education. 81% of those enrolled in Gateway English and 52% enrolled in Gateway Math passed with a C or better, saving $633 for each DevEd class they didn't require. With this approach, our students build momentum and confidence, and they save money. So what else are we doing to tackle developmental education? Our English faculty launched an accelerated learning program, nicknamed ALP, which allows students to take developmental courses and credit-bearing courses at the same time. With last year's 540 students hitting an 80% successful completion rate, a figure that meets or exceeds what our non-co-rec students historically achieve, We will continue to add more sections of ALP every semester. And finally, as we welcome our students to campus next week, we know they will benefit from the new math curriculum that our faculty has built. Our math department has developed a brand new curriculum to create new pathways and more effective developmental course options for our students. Starting next week, we are launching co-requisite course offerings for our 3 math pathways: math for liberal arts, statistics for health and social sciences, and college algebra for our STEM students. These pathways will allow our students to take the right math course they need for their particular area of study. In addition, we will open new math emporiums on all 4 of our campuses. This innovative model will support our students who do require developmental math to move into college credit courses more quickly. I want to express my gratitude to Sudabe Valicenti, the chair of our math department, and our math faculty for making this vision a reality. We know that earning a degree is fundamentally important for our students. They know that it is the clearest path to improving their lives and those of their families. And we all know that increasing the number of Rhode Islanders with a post-secondary credential is good for our state's economy. So what else are we doing to support more students to earn a degree? We're focusing on our reverse transfer program. We've awarded 118 degrees in the last 2 years to students who earned 60 college credits combined from CCRI, RIC, URI, and other colleges. To put this early success in a national context, could be a contest, often is, El Paso Community College in Texas, a school twice the size of ours, was recognized recently nationally for its reverse transfer program. El Paso awarded just 28 degrees in its first year. We are proud to be doing this important work and are pleased by these early results. What else are we doing? We're expanding our prior learning program, which allows a student to receive college credit for previous academic, military, and work history. Prior to our policy adoption, just 1% of our students received prior learning credit. We are working to increase that number significantly, especially with credits awarded to military personnel. By the end of the year, we expect to award more than 1,750 credits for 125 military personnel. This is exciting. We're committed to advance even more growth in prior learning credits. When we think about dramatically increasing our graduation rate, we know we need to focus on work that touches all of our students. And therefore we know that Guided Pathways is central to our completion strategy. At opening day last year, we heard from Dr. Rob Johnstone, a national expert in Guided Pathways, who has been working with our team to effectively implement it here at CCRI. I want to thank all of you who are making our rollout of Guided Pathways possible this fall, especially Sandy Sneesby, Stephanie Cabral, and everyone here at the college who is working tirelessly to move this important work forward. For the very first time, when our students arrive at CCRI, they will now have a path to follow that allows them to use their time and money effectively and to complete their degree or certificate more quickly. Our students will be able to select from 7 academic and career pathways. These are arts and humanities, business, economics, and data analytics, communication, media and design, education, government and human services, environment and sustainability, health and health administration, science, technology, engineering, and math. These paths will provide our students with clear roadmaps toward graduation and will support seamless transfer to RIC and URI. So why is this important? Because we know that only 15% of community college students in this country who transfer without their associate degree will ever earn their bachelor degree. However, students who graduate with their associate degree first and then transfer are significantly more likely to earn their bachelor's within 6 years of beginning at a community college. Guided Pathways will show our students how to achieve what most of them tell us is their goal, and that's a bachelor's degree. The pathways are an important response to last year's Post-Secondary Education Council's adoption of a new transfer policy intended to make transfer from CCRI to RIC or URI seamless for our students. 2 key elements of this policy include the development of transfer associate degrees comprised of 60 credits that allow our students to arrive at RIC or URI as juniors. And second, guaranteed admission at RIC or URI for CCRI students who complete an associate degree with at least a 2.4 GPA. Most states with successful transfer programs have a policy much like the one Rhode Island has just adopted. Thank you to the team here leading this important transfer work. It is so important for our students. So, if you take a minute to reflect on what we've already accomplished, you see that we've truly made dramatic progress with how we place students and how we teach them, all in support of their degree or certificate attainment. Let's now look at some of the new strategies we are using to enhance enrollment and retention. We know that enrollment at both 2- and 4-year colleges is on the decline across the country. This is true for a couple of reasons. First, particularly at community colleges, in a strong economy with more jobs, potential students go to work to support their families. Second, there are simply fewer students graduating from high school in Rhode Island. To put this in context, in 2011, Rhode Island graduated 12,000 students from high school. By 2017, that number shrank by almost 20% to just under 10,000 graduates. That's why our enrollment and retention strategies matter. Keeping our students, the ones we already have here today, is the single most powerful enrollment strategy we have. In other words, while recruiting new students will always matter, what matters most is supporting and keeping the students we already have. And that's something every single one of us can do. Almost every day, my office is contacted by a student or a relative of a student who is trying to find their way into our college. And if they're contacting my office, it's often because they just don't know where else to turn. And so here's what happens without exception. Deb either figures it out herself or brings the story to me, and we identify who's best to help. 2 weeks ago, it was a young man who was working one full-time day job in Cranston and one part-time job in Providence, nights and weekends. He supports his young daughter and realizes he needs to find his way back to CCRI after a first unsuccessful try many years ago. He is older now and understands better the positive impact the degree can have on his earnings. So he wants to come back, but how to do it, given his hours at work and his family responsibilities. So I think everyone in this room knows what we did. We introduced him to Bob Cipolla. By the end of the day, this young man was enrolled in cybersecurity with a clear path forward to earning his degree. So this is a good news story. However, the even better news will be when a student like that doesn't drop out and then return years later. Instead, he stays right here, stays on track to graduate, because we are proactively advising him, using guided pathways to ensure he stays on track to a degree. I know we are making meaningful strides with our retention strategy, and I want us to keep going. So what if you don't work in advising? What if you aren't a faculty member? How then does your work connect to our focus on retention and graduation? Here's how. Think about our Just Say Hello campaign. All summer long, as we enrolled students in the Great Hall, I saw members of our staff wearing those t-shirts and buttons. I encountered staff helping students and their families in the hallways, just asking, how are you? Can I help you find something? The willingness to connect with a student, even just for a few minutes, makes a big difference in how they feel about college and how they feel about this college in particular. 2 quick stories. About a month ago, a new employee was walking on the 2nd floor, right up there, and ran into 2 new students. And I saw this happen from across the way. And I saw what he did. The new employee just walked right up to them, stuck his hand out, introduced himself, and said, hey, can I help you with something? Now, he's not a faculty member. He isn't in advising and counseling. He's just a guy who works here, who happens to be a first-generation college graduate himself, and who wanted to make a new student feel a little more connected. Another longtime employee told me that after our focus on Just Say Hello, he has made a genuine point of doing just that, seeing if on his way to a meeting or grabbing coffee, he can help a student. He told me that it makes him feel more connected to our work and to our students. And like the other guy, he's not in a student-facing role. There are hundreds of stories just like these, and they are all indicators of how we all play a powerful role in holding on to the students who are already here enrolled, and planning to graduate. I ask that we all keep this momentum going. Let's continue to make this a college where everyone feels welcomed and seen. This momentum will undoubtedly help retention, and it will also strengthen our culture. Earlier, I outlined the positive impact of the Promise program on enrollment. So what else are we doing to maintain strong enrollment? We are investing in our online programs. For the first time, CCRI students have the opportunity to complete our general business degree fully online. Our students continue to have access to the same excellent faculty, courses, materials, and transfer opportunities that CCRI offers in a classroom, but now they are able to tailor their education to fit into their lives. We will continue to expand these opportunities. I want to thank Cecile Roberti, our business department chair, our business faculty, and Karen Belnier, our director of instructional technology and online learning, for moving the college forward with online degrees. We will apply the learnings from your work so we can scale our online offerings effectively and with speed. We also know that our students need the opportunity to take classes year-round in order to graduate more quickly. This summer, we had a more robust course offering than ever, with our summer headcount increasing 9% over last summer and credit hours increasing by 15%. We also plan to offer a J-term in 2019, as we know J-term is an important way to help our students graduate. Vice President Costigan has begun the preliminary planning for J-term, and we are excited to be offering our students yet another opportunity to accumulate credits and move more quickly to a degree. What other important enrollment and retention work is taking place this year? We recently welcomed Amy Kasarek, our new Dean of Enrollment Management, and Kelly Morrissey, our new Director of Financial Aid, both of whom led similar efforts at community colleges in Connecticut and Massachusetts. More than anything else, Amy's charge and Kelly's charge is to make enrolling and paying for college here at CCRI easier for our students. Student Services has launched a new messaging platform, Blackboard Connect, which allows us to communicate with students through text, email, and phone calls about enrollment, financial aid, and advising. And we added 5 advisors over the past year with the new intrusive advising model, a nationally proven strategy to keep students on track. We know it works. High-performing community colleges have built these programs. We are investing in it here at CCRI. The Student Services team, led by Vice President Enright, has contributed so much to making CCRI a place of success over the past year. From building a Promise program to driving enrollment and retention to expanding advising, they have met these challenges and opportunities head on. I want to thank them here today while noting that virtually none of them are here. Instead, they are completely consumed with making sure our students are ready for class next week. So Sarah, please bring this entire room's gratitude back to the team. Thank you. Finally, in addition to all of the work taking place with our faculty, academic affairs, and student services, we have redesigned our Center for Workforce and Community Education into our Division for Workforce Partnerships. We know that our students come to our college because they are seeking an outstanding education and quality employment. We also know that CCRI is positioned at the center for workforce training in Rhode Island. With strong leadership under Vice President Alcid and a talented team, we are going to continue to build employer partnerships and create opportunities for our students. So what have we done in the last year? We trained 850 students for electric boat in pipe fitting, welding, and maritime electrical. We've partnered with Brown Medicine. They wanted to invest in their people, and so we crafted a path for them to do so. Through this partnership, Brown Medicine will meet their business need, and most importantly, their medical assistants will nearly double their annual earnings, and that's a big deal. This is the very first time in the country that an apprenticeship program like this has been created, and it is happening right here at our college. We also are creating opportunities for experiential learning. Through a partnership with Citizens Bank, our students get internships that give them the skills they need in order to succeed once they graduate. We want to scale this work because we know that experiential learning enhances academic learning and builds real-life skills that employers seek in potential employees. Finally, CCRI played a significant role in securing Rhode Island's recently announced partnership with the global technology company Infosys that will bring 500 new jobs to Rhode Island by 2022. We are working with Infosys to develop a partnership modeled after the existing College Connect initiative, which introduced more than 120,000 college students in India to technology, careers there. The president is Ravi Kumar, and what Ravi recognized was the possibilities that are emerging here at the college, and he wanted his company to be part of that growth. You can see the impact these partnerships have as we seek external support for our college through our advancement department. We welcomed over 240 people to our second annual Raising Opportunities benefit. I want to especially thank Jen Harris and the institutional advancement team. Jen arrived 3 months before the benefit and brought her creativity and energy to ensuring that the event was well attended and met our fundraising goals. With our corporate sponsors and individual guests, we raised $180,000 to support the development of a food pantry, expand tutoring support, and provide money for books. Our students need this support in order to stay focused on their studies so they can successfully persist and graduate. As I look around the Great Hall filled with all of you, I imagine what it will look like next Tuesday, filled with our students, beginning a new term, studying together, eating a meal, and charging their devices. This room has come so far. From an intimidating, pretty grim place, it is now one of the most popular gathering places for all of us. Looking at it today is such an important reminder that our teaching and learning spaces, the places where we come together on our campuses, matter. They matter for how well our students can learn, and they matter for how easily we can create relationships with our students and with each other. This fall, there will be more opportunities for you to engage and provide input into the future of our spaces here at CCRI. The facilities master plan work will continue, and we will be asking for feedback on ideas that our consultant, Goody Clancy, developed over the summer. As we are talking about our campuses, I want to thank the members of our community who take care of our campuses and our people. Nearly every morning, I start with a hello from Jeff Heiler. He's the guy in the baseball hat, and that's what he looks like when I walk in. If it's a Monday, I find out if his weekend golf game was good, and if it's a Friday, I find out if he plans to play. I also find out if there is any facilities work happening in Warwick that I should know about. Mainly every morning what I get is a strong reminder of his dedication to this institution and to our students. I am grateful for the commitment of Jeff, the rest of our physical plant staff, and Ken McCabe. They work hard to ensure that our buildings provide the spaces we need to support all of our work. I also want to thank Director Sean Collins and our college police. I thank them for their leadership and for their understanding and embrace of the multifaceted role that our college police play on campus. I see it every day when one of our officers stops to give a student directions or responds to a concern. I've seen it during the emergency preparedness trainings we've done together in the past 2 years. The commitment to continued, focused investment in the professional development of our police and in the training of our administration and this community is critical to the community policing model here at CCRI. So what remains as we look forward to this year? As part of advancing our third strategic priority, to strengthen institutional effectiveness, we also want to engage you in the ongoing discussion about our culture. Where are we now, and where do we want to go? This slide shows the draft operating principles written by our Culture Task Force, made up of a cross-section of faculty and staff who are engaging together to develop a shared vision of what it means to be a member of this community. I want to thank Elizabeth Canning, Lizzie Pollock, and the members of the Culture Task Force for all their hard work on moving this initiative forward. They have been hard at work identifying some early priorities, and later this fall, we will ask you all to complete an employee engagement survey. This data will inform our collective work to make our college an increasingly effective place for teaching and learning and a place of even stronger community. What do we know about culture? We know that often it is implied, not expressly defined, and that it is created organically over time by the people who work here and by our students. And that means where it needs improving, we can do that, and where it's good, we can make it even better. We have the ability to do that together. I know that working together, we can continue to make CCRI even better. Make it a place where even more people want to come to work and where even more students want to come to learn. We have made so much progress in the last couple of years, and I am so optimistic about where we are headed this year. I ask that you keep believing in your own growth and in our students' capacity to grow too. When I think back to kindergarten, back to my green boots, and to the scared kid I was almost 50 years ago, I'm so struck by the truth of growth mindset. It's a concept that's at the very center of how I approach my teaching, our students, my life, your lives, and our students' lives. Thank you all so much for being here this morning, and thank you for your commitment to our students and to our college.